Right, I have that it is 7 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Pam Batchelor, and I am from the Division of Digital Teaching and Learning at the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. And I am excited to welcome you tonight to learn more about GoOpenNC. And we are also live streaming this webinar on Facebook, which is our first time doing that. So fingers crossed, technology works, and excited to welcome anyone who's watching us from our home base Facebook page, and hope that you can learn some new things about GoOpenNC. So we're going to start off by, first of all, if you have not gotten that slide deck up, I'm going to paste it in the chat. And you can also, if you're joining us online, you can look at my screen and type in that bit.ly address into a new tab of your browser or on your device that you're using. So that way you have a copy of tonight's slide deck with the links, because you will need that throughout the presentation for tonight. So for those of you joining us via Webex, just a couple of notes about Webex. It has had an upgrade since the last month's webinars, so it might look a little different to you, but the most important thing is to connect your sound. You should have either the option to use your computer audio or your phone-in number if you want to use the call-in audio option. That is also just fine. We do have chat, and please chat throughout the webinar so that way we can stay connected and make sure that there are no technical glitches along the way. So first of all, I would love if you would just type in the chat your name and where you're from and your role, and we'll give everyone just a second to get connected and introduce themselves in the chat. All right, so thank you, Brian. Seventh grade teacher, and Delene, I hope I'm saying that right. If not, please correct me, from Fayetteville, fourth grade teacher. All right. Thank you so much for those of you who are putting that in chat, and we're going to keep on rolling. So you have my contact information here. In case you have any questions about GoOpenNC, I'm also the product manager for Canvas, our statewide learning management system. So if you have any questions about Canvas, please feel free to reach out to me as well. But there's my Twitter and as well as my email. I do tweet, so if you use Twitter, please do connect with me. A couple of questions about CEU credit. So first of all, for your live attendance tonight, Webex is keeping track of your live attendance, and you will get 0.1 CEU, which is equal to 1 hour of credit. Those of you who might be watching this on Facebook, unfortunately right now we can't offer CEU credit for watching on Facebook, but we are investigating how that might be. So I would ask that if you're watching this on Facebook, if you would leave a comment, so that way we would know that you were here and you watched, and then we will try to see what we can do for future live streaming. Hopefully this is working. All right, for credit tonight, you will receive credit that is recommended for digital learning competency credit type. However, your local public school unit has the right to approve what type of credit you receive. So make sure you follow your local process. And for those of you attending in Webex tonight, you will get an email from me within 5 business days with a link to your CEU certificate, as well as a link to the recording. We are recording tonight's session so that if there's anything that you want to go back over, you can. And then also a link to the slide deck that we are sharing tonight. All right, so we are tonight joining us talking about GoOpenNC, North Carolina's open educational resources platform. Very excited about GoOpenNC. It's been a phenomenal place for us as we have embraced remote learning since the pandemic. And now, with blended learning, with many of our schools returning students to the classroom, but also having some cohorts that are learning online, there is a need for high quality, standards aligned resources, and GoOpenNC has been a great place for educators to connect, and we hope to keep seeing that grow. We have about 30,000 active users right now on GoOpenNC, and we just want to continue to see that grow and have more and more resources. So it's not only just a place for you to find things, but also a place for you to stick around and collaborate with other educators across the state. It's open to all public school educators in North Carolina, so charter schools as well as regular LEA districts. We also have a space on GoOpenNC for professional learning resources. So in addition to our North Carolina Standard Course of Study standards, we also have the North Carolina Teaching Standards, as well as the digital learning competencies for teachers and administrators on the site, so that way you can align professional learning resources with those standards as well. So we also hope to invite you tonight, by coming to a webinar or listening to us on Facebook. You are now a part of our OER community of practice. So we invite you to come and to explore open educational resources, and to also be thinking about what is in your Google Drive or your OneDrive that you could share with other educators across the state. Because the success of GoOpenNC is really based on you taking the ownership in that community of practice and sharing resources that others can use as well. So that way we have that wonderful synergy of resources being created and shared, and ongoing professional development that'll continue to add value and resources to the site. So just a note about what you may find in GoOpenNC. So you can find a variety of resources, things such as textbooks, lesson plans, video lessons. We have a great partnership with some of our graduate schools that their graduate candidates are filming instructional videos and putting them on GoOpenNC. We have partnerships with the North Carolina Zoo, with the North Carolina Museum of Art. They're putting lesson plans into GoOpenNC. So exciting things happening. So you can find all of these things. We're working on our first full course for 12th grade ELA and aligning that to our standards right now. So I'm excited to be giving a press release about that once it's ready and fully aligned to our standards. But so there's lots of good things coming. So you can find, a little bit of everything in GoOpenNC. One point that I do want to make sure to point out is that OER is a little bit different than just resources that are free for you to access. OER are resources that are going to be continued to be available to you to retain, to use, to reuse, to revise, to remix, and redistribute. And normally that's done with a Creative Commons license. And a Creative Commons license allows the owner of the work to license their work exactly how they see fit. So that way it takes away all that gray area with copyright, and it really allows you to have a clear understanding of what you can and can't do with that work without having to contact the copyright holder for permission. So things that are on GoOpenNC, we hope they're things that you're going to be able to continue to retain and reuse from year to year or semester to semester as you teach different subjects and topics. They're going to be things that you can revise and remix. So if they're built on our platform, you can revise and remix right on our platform. So maybe if a lesson plan is a good lesson plan, but I have some EL students in my classroom and I need to enrich the vocabulary in the lesson plan to help support those students, I can do that. I can make those changes right on the platform. And then, of course, I can redistribute that work after I've modified it so that way others can come along and say, oh, this one's already been adapted for EL students. Great, I'm going to use this. So wonderful and exciting times, and we're glad you're with us tonight, taking a little bit of time out of your evening to learn more about GoOpenNC. So tonight we're going to be talking about hubs and groups. And before we get started looking at how we can connect using GoOpenNC, we need to figure out how to log in, right? So GoOpenNC is available through your NC Ed Cloud. There is an icon there on your tray when you log in through NC Ed Cloud, or you can also log into the website just directly from the URL. So I'm going to copy this URL up here, goopenNC.oercommons.org, and I'm going to put it in the chat. And you can either log in through the NC Ed Cloud, or you can click on that link. But I am going to ask you to go to the homepage right now. So if you would type in the chat when you are looking at the GoOpenNC homepage. I'll give everyone a few seconds to go there. All right, give a few more seconds to make sure everyone's on the homepage. All right, so we're going to go ahead and make sure that you're signed in. So if you just use the link to get to GoOpen, you would not have your picture right here. And when you click on it, instead of seeing my items, my groups, you would see a sign in. So if you click on this upper right corner here on your profile and you see a sign in button, please go ahead and sign in, because you do need to sign in order to be able to join a group in just a few minutes. We're going to be starting with groups. All right, so we're going to go ahead, and after you have signed in, we're going to spend just a minute talking about groups. So you see groups in the blue navigation bar in the center. And we're just going to talk for just a minute about what a group is. So a group is a way to make a connection on GoOpenNC. A group can be as small as just a couple of people. So there's no limit to how many groups you can create or how many groups we can have on the platform, which is wonderful. So you can create a group for your PLC, you could create a group for your school, for your grade level. You can certainly do those things. We do ask that before you create a group, you search for groups, because we did have, like last week, for instance, I noticed that there were about 11 groups set up that were just general groups for ITFs to connect. And so we definitely want our instructional technology facilitators to be able to connect on GoOpenNC, but we want them to have just one general group. So if you could help us by making sure that before you create a group, you search the groups to make sure that group isn't already created. And I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to look at the different groups that are already created and search for them to find some that might be interesting to us. I know we have a 4th grade teacher, a 7th grade teacher at least on the call, so we're going to look for those. We're going to show you how you can join a group. And then once we're in a group, what are some of the features are. The 2 main things we'll focus on are folders for resources and also discussion boards. So with that, I'm going to take you back to the platform and we're going to look for groups. So I'm going to use that blue navigation at the top, and I'm going to go under groups, and then I'm going to click on the link that says see all groups. And then with our See All groups, there's 2 ways that you can view groups. I have the list view turned on. By default, you may see this icon view, which is a circle. or the list view. The list view is nice because it gives you a lot more information about the groups. But I'm going to click on that circles because that's by default what everyone sees at first. So you'll notice the first few groups we have highlighted are just general groups for different grade levels and subject areas. So, for example, I know we have a 4th grade and a 7th grade teacher with us tonight. You might want to go ahead and click on, one of these groups, and you can click on join this group to become a member of this group. And so this is a public group, and I know this is a public group because it says join this group. If this was a private group, the green button would say request to join. And so a request to join means that my membership has to be approved by a group admin. So when you create a group, I'll show you in just a minute, you can make a group public or private. So just keep that in mind that we do have that capability on GoOpen if you want to make a group that is private. You can also use these filters. So maybe if I'm looking here for upper primary, that filters out some of the groups. Maybe if I'm looking for math, all right, so now I can see, oh, look, there's a 3rd grade math, right? So maybe if I wanted to join the 3rd grade math group, notice this is a private group because it says request to join group. It would, again, prompt me to go back and be approved. So I do make sure that you search for a group so that way you kind of get an idea. So I'm just going to search in here for Wilson. So Wilson County Schools has a few groups already set up. And so they have the name of the group, the type, and the subject areas and the grade levels. So this is where I really like that list view versus the circles view when it comes to groups, because it gives me so much more information to make sure I'm finding the right group, right? Because I can see, oh, okay, well, this is a group for administrators. If I'm a teacher, then this is not, the group for me to be in. Maybe I should look at one of these more general groups, like I can sit here and join the STEM group. If you go through the search for groups and you just don't quite find the group that you're looking for, feel free to click on that green create a group, which is what I'm going to do right now. And so I'm going to create a group, and I'm just going to call this sample group 201. I'm going to make this a general group. And then I'm going to go through and choose my subject area. So maybe this is a math group, and maybe I'm going to say it's for middle school. All right, and next we're going to go through and describe what the group is. So this group is for middle school math teachers. And then here's where I can make that group public or private, right? So anyone can join. I do recommend keeping your group public unless there is something that you want to really want to avoid about that, because if I click on needs approval, then it is up to me to approve everybody. So just keep that in mind. If you're doing curriculum review or something like that, I can see where maybe it makes sense to have a private group. But for just your general groups, I would keep them open. And so now I have this sample group. And the first thing that we can see are the different tabs within a group. So the first thing we're going to look for is resources. So resources can be things that you contribute to the group or things that you find on GoOpenNC. So just because you create a group doesn't mean you have to upload anything. You can certainly curate resources. And in fact, that is our webinar coming up in November. It's going to be talking about curating resources into folders. So I'm just going to create a few folders just because I always find that it is, it's important to set that organizational structure up so that way others in the group can follow your organizational format. So maybe I'm going to say Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 3. All right, so I have my folders, and then within that, I can actually add subfolders. So maybe if I could say week 1, and then week 2. And so now I have kind of this organizational format that anyone else who's in the group with me can now kind of, help contribute and add resources to these different folders, right? So let's go back up and let's search real quick, and we're going to put something in these folders. So I'm going to go up to the top in that navigation bar and click on the magnifying glass. And so I'm looking for middle school, and I was looking for math. And let's search. And I'm going to go back and do our standards. So North Carolina Math Standards, grade 7. And let's go in and maybe we're going to look for geometry. And we can drill on down, looking at circles. So there's a couple of ways you can save. You can actually save right here from the search screen. So maybe I'm just going to go ahead and click on those 2 resources. And when I click on save, it's going to have your groups, and you will not have a crazy list of groups like I will. But I am a member of a lot of groups, so I have to go all the way down. All right, so here's that sample group that I just made, and here's that week 1. And then maybe our next things we're going to talk about ratio and proportions. And I'm just going to take these 2. And the same thing, and it kind of remembers where you were. So week 2 is ratios and proportions. And now if I go back to groups and I go to see my groups, that's where you see any groups that you've joined. And again, ignore the big list that I have. And now I can see that in that Unit 1 folder, I have 2 resources that I've saved in my week 1 and 2 resources that I've saved in my week 2. So now any members of this group can see these resources in these folders, as well as continue to build and add, right? So that's one way of kind of curating our collection of, hey, this would be good stuff for our first unit for week 1 to go over. All right, the next tab that we're going to talk about in groups is the discussion board. So with a discussion board, it's very simple to start a new discussion. Notice that it is more than just text. You can insert pictures as well as videos and math equations into our discussion boards on GoOpenNC. So I can say something like, please introduce yourself. And who can see this discussion? You can make it so anyone can see the discussion or only people in the group. Right? So I could say, please introduce yourself. If there was a video I wanted to add, like, maybe a video of me teaching a lesson or, a scenario or something that I wanted to introduce, you could definitely add any type of video you wanted in here. So I'm going to click on start discussion, and then, folks can come in here and click on reply and start their replies. So members, pretty self-explanatory. These are the members of the group. As the group administrator, I can add members by entering their email address. That'll send them an invitation. There is a limit to 25 people a day, right? And so, if you're building a group for your school and your school might have, 60 staff members, then you're not going to be able to invite them all at once. You're going to have to do 25 one day, 25 another day, and the final 10 on the third day. You can also go under here where it says manage group, and you can add group administrators. So by default, the person who created the group is the group administrator, but you can add additional people. Again, that counts in your 25 count. So just keep that in mind. But you can definitely add another administrator. And then once there's more than one administrator in a group, you can actually pass off leadership or ownership of the group to another person. So that's a nice thing in case you start something and then maybe you have a change in role and someone else needs to take over the group for you. You definitely can. You can also change the cover image of the group as well. If you want to design something nice in Canva and upload that, you can do that as well. The next tab here is just that information about the group. And then our recent activity, you can see the different things that have been added to the group or the different activity. It's very nice when you start to get an active group to go in here in the recent activity and see what folks have added. If anyone's added any new resources that they've, created and added into a group, you would be able to see them here. So that recent activity is really nice. And you notice there is a leave this group option. So if your role changes and you're no longer teaching fourth grade math and you don't need the fourth grade math group, then go ahead and click leave this group, and that will be how you can manage your groups. All right. So I do want to give about 3 minutes for you to go in and either go into your groups and see all groups and either search for a group to join or go ahead and create a group. So if you know that you want to create a group for your school or for your district, feel free to first search and make sure that group doesn't exist. And then if not, click on that create a group and make a group. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes. So actually we'll give 4 because it's 7:26. So we're going to come back together at 7:30. So going to give you a few minutes to either present a group or join a group or create one of your own. So we will come back at 7:30. I'm available in the chat or the Q&A if you have any questions or need help. All right, we will come back together in about 30 seconds. All right, so we had a good question come in the chat. Do the answers come with these resources? We have over 38,000 resources on GoOpenNC. So some of those resources are meant to be student facing. So those student facing ones, the answers would not come with if it was like a game or interactive thing for students. But if it was a lesson plan or something that was supposed to be teacher facing, then yes, you should see some sample answers if it's, a discussion question or open response, or if it is a worksheet, it would have usually the student answers key as well. So great question. All right, so hopefully you took a few minutes to either find a group to join or created a group. I'd love to know in the chat what you decided to do, if you found a group to join or if you created one. Yay, I'm glad to see we found a group. All right. So we're now going to transition and go on over and take a look at hubs. And we're going to explore kind of the differences. You already know about groups, and groups are actually a part of a hub. So you already have that layer of experience there with what a group is. But a hub is something that we have built on the platform as an administrator level. So a hub is not something that you can create. It's something that you or the team can help you create if there's a topic, but they're topic focused, and they have both groups as well as collections of resources. Some have information and videos. So we're going to talk about some of the hubs we have. I'm also can give you a little sneak peek of a few hubs that are being built right now on the platform. We are excited about the new things that are coming. But basically, I wanted to give you a few minutes to look at a hub and also possibly look for any collections of resources that are on a hub or um, join any groups on a hub if you find a hub that you're interested in. All right, so I'm going to jump back over to the platform. And on the platform in that blue navigation, we're going to click on hubs, and then I'm just going to go to see all hubs. So these are our hubs that are public right now and that you can see. So we have a beginning teacher support hub. We have a hub for global education. Johnston County also has a hub. They had some teachers do some curation work where they collected resources by different grade levels and subject areas. So they have their hub that's available. We also have a professional learning hub for open education resources. So after this webinar, if you're like, I really want to learn more about OER, there are some good resources in here that you can use and also share. We have project-based learning, a school library media hub, STEM literacy, tools for NC teachers, and then a remote learning resources hub. So these are the ones that are public. I'm going to start with just global education to kind of show you. So the hub has a homepage, and the homepage has different sections, right? So this is a little bit about global education, a little bit about our global schools designation from an elementary school in North Carolina that has that global school designation. And then we also have our collections. So this is 355 different resources for teachers that have gone through the Global Education Digital Badge Program, and they have earned their badge. All of these resources have been vetted and approved, not only at the local PSC level, but also at the state level. So these are all great resources that have a global lens, and most of them are interdisciplinary. So you can go in through this collection and, filter it by standard or subject area. So I go in and click on math, and I can see the resources that have this Feed the Hunger PBL lesson is actually pretty good. And it's got grade 5 in it. It's aligned to 5th grade math. So you can see this resource, and again, these are resources that so definitely with the PBL unit, I think you could take pretty much any level math and kind of remix it to match, because it's talking about students will feed hunger problems and be prepared. This unit here is also about a food drive, so it goes really well with a lot of things that are going on in schools. So a hub can have all of these different things. This particular hub does not have a group, but it has resources. So if I go back to my hubs and see all hubs, I notice that like the School Library Media Hub has both collections, right? So some Flexbooks, as well as connection groups for school library media. So I can actually go in here and contribute to this group because I'm already a member of it. But you can also connect to this group and see the discussions that they've started. And you can see you're still in the hub, even when you're in this group. So a good question that was asked earlier today was, how do I join a hub? So when you go and join a hub, there's 2 ways really that you can stay updated. If there's a group that's connected to a hub, you can join that group. The other way is if you are added to the group or added to the hub by an administrator. So for example, we have some hubs in development right now, and I create the hub on the back side of the platform, and then I add the hub administrator, which is the person who's overall in charge of the project. And then they might add some teachers or co-teachers to be administrators of the hub and add content. But basically, for most of us, we would join a hub by joining a group that is connected to a hub. So hopefully that helps you understand hubs. I'm going to go ahead and give you a sneak peek. Who likes a sneak peek at what's coming up? So we actually have our culturally relevant, responsive, and sustaining hub, our CRT, that we're calling it. And CRT, we have a cohort that's about to wrap up, and then we have 2 more cohorts coming in October later this month. I'm so excited about the resources that they're putting together. So that hub is going to be public after probably before the holidays, because we're going to go through, and our content experts, our team of amazing facilitators, it's not me. We have a team through ISKME that is our partner organization that has put together a team of CRT professionals to lead the webinars, and they are also reviewing all the resources that are created. So everything that's in the hub is going to be vetted. So I'm excited about that hub. We also have a Minecraft education hub that's in development. A couple other ones. We have an Arts Ed hub that's in development. So for our Arts Ed teachers, excited to get that one off the ground as well. So that'll probably be coming in the spring. But I did want to let you know we do have some exciting things coming for hubs. So hopefully that intrigues your interest. And if there is something that maybe within your school or district that you'd be interested in creating a hub, feel free to reach out to me. And I would love to get you started on the space. We do just ask that since it's going to be public facing to everyone, that there's a good commitment there, that the resources will be available and sustained with the hub, because it is public to everyone. All right. So any questions about hubs? All right. I would love to hear your comments and thoughts about how you will connect on GoOpenNC. I noticed that Brian put in the chat that he also created a seventh grade math teachers group. So I would love to know, Brian, did you start a discussion board? So maybe that might be a good way to get started with this connection, is just to ask folks to introduce themselves. And absolutely. All right. And Brian, we actually are taking applications for our CRT hub that starts in a couple weeks. If you are interested in that, I can make sure to post the link in the email, the follow-up email, if you're interested in learning more about CRT. Awesome. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that right now because I know if I don't, it is going to leave me. So let me go. All right, and so here is the CRT. All right. All right, so some great thoughts. Thank you for sharing. I do just want to share a few more resources that we have, or we'll get ready to wrap up. If you have any final questions or topics that you'd like to think about, you can go ahead and be thinking about those questions. We do have 3 badges. If you like to collect digital badges, we have 3 challenges for GoOpenNC to help you learn more about the platform and also help us get the word out about the platform. So we have a create, collaborate, and curate challenge. And so you have the link here on the slide deck. You're welcome to complete those. We also have our webinars. Of course, today's the last one for October, but coming up November 4th, we have curating resources of GoOpenNC, where we're really going to take a deeper dive into curating resources. So we kind of did a little bit of that today with talking about the groups and the folders, but we're going to get a lot more in depth and talk about some different ways to curate resources on GoOpenNC. So I'm excited about that session. So please feel free to share that. And then in December, we're going to talk about remixing and creating. So taking those treasures that are in your Google Drive and your Microsoft OneDrive and putting them in GoOpenNC and sharing them. And then also how we could go and take something that's in GoOpenNC and remix it to make it better for our learners. And then if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me or to this our team email here, and we will be more than happy to get in touch. Finally, everything that we do, I do put a Creative Commons license on it, so feel free to take the slide deck and reuse it, share it with your team, and thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your time to learn about GoOpenNC with us this evening, and I will stick around for a few minutes if there are any questions, but otherwise I hope you have a wonderful night. So Brian, you don't have to. I just try to be conspicuous about adding licenses on everything I do now. I did take a course in Creative Commons licensing, and so it's just kind of drilled into my brain. But you don't have to. When you actually, if you build anything in GoOpenNC, it will have the Creative Commons license builder. So anything that you build on GoOpenNC, you will actually choose what Creative Commons license you want to apply. And I've just gotten in the habit of putting them on my slide decks. But it does help make it very clear for everyone to know exactly what they can and can't do on with your resources. All right, thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.